Hi, I'm Neil Sackmary.
Hi, I'm State Trooper Sean Hagstrom with the Nevada State Police Highway Patrol Division, PEIO. Please stay tuned for the next episode of Trooper Talk.
And together, we can make a difference. Here we are live at the 360 Vegas studios with this edition of Trooper Talk. We have Trooper Hagstrom back. We have Officer McClarty here. And we have Lieutenant White again returning from last week because we had so much fun. I have so many things to talk about. Some of them we talked about before we went on the air, and I want to touch on that. And I want to just say that you have a new car.
Correct.
And I don't think people realize that, you know, when they're driving very fast, that if they were to get pulled over, it is not a fun experience. And it is not something that you know, oh, what's the big deal? I'm just going to get pulled over or whatever. I was very scared. You know what I'm saying? And so the thing that people have to know is that they have to maintain the rules of the road, and they're never going to experience anything like that in a negative connotation because you're not doing something that you're not supposed to do. So you could start on that, and then we're glad that you're here.
Well, I got to clarify something, too. Neil didn't get stopped. It was like a simulation stop.
Simulation.
Yeah, because it made it sound like you got stopped.
Yeah,
this
no, a
morning.
simulation,
So,
and
yeah.
that simulation
Yeah.
that lasted 30 seconds was so scary because I haven't been pulled over probably in 25 or 30 or 30. I mean, like, I can't even remember the last time that I was pulled over. And I think it was for like a seatbelt like 30 years ago or something, you know? I mean,
Sure.
but this simulated action was so scary.
Well,
that
people are not.
real-
It's not an everyday occurrence when somebody gets pulled over by a state trooper or a police officer on the roadway. So it can kind of be intimidating, but people need to realize there's a reason that you are getting stopped, and we're always going to act in a professional manner when we come up there. So it can be a little bit intimidating, but the whole idea is not to get stopped. I mean, just do the rules of the roadway, and you won't have the issues that you are, and then you won't have to worry about paying a fine down the road or having some other issues that might pop up during that stop.
Yeah, and I'm going to get to you, Lieutenant White, and then I'm going to get to you because I want to jump from there to the next thing, which was that we talked before we went on the air about criminal infractions that I had no idea about. That if someone drives on a suspended license or has no insurance, that these actions that probably a lot of people take for granted, you were describing to me, so I'd like you to tell us now about the criminal aspect of these type of things.
So the legislators made two classification of traffic violations, basically. You have traffic infractions, and then you would have misdemeanor traffic citations. So they used to all be misdemeanor traffic citations, and now they have the different classifications. And some of the criminal ones are things like DUI, obviously, reckless driving. And then some of the other ones that are not as well known would be driver's license violations, registration of vehicles, not having insurance, things of those natures are criminal offenses also.
And those are arrestable. They could be arrestable things. Like, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, right? But so if someone's in trouble for the third or fourth time of the insurance or the what, I'm just saying that
Sure.
These are things that you look at in an overall perspective, and those could be arrestable things that someone could end up in handcuffs.
Sure,
and
like
in the back of a squad car.
yeah, if you, I mean you're the person that keeps driving on a suspended license, or you never got a license or whatever, and you look at some criminal history and you look at what's going on, and there's, you've had 2 or 3 opportunities, more than one. It says you can. The first one, usually will give you that. 2, 3 down the road, it's possible you can be in handcuffs and going down to the jail for that.
And plus, I want to add on that too. Whether they make an arrest or not, let's say for suspended driving, you're going to get your vehicle towed, because by state law, we have to take that vehicle, because it becomes a liability for us allowing you to go. Let's say that we don't enforce it and they go down the road and something happens, that comes back on us. So if you get pulled over for suspended driving, it's up to the officer whether he takes you to jail or he writes you a ticket, but your car is going to get towed. And that's going to be that extra expense that you have to worry about, and you're going to be out of car. So if you have to work, now you better have some good friends or neighbors or somebody that can get you to and from work. The best thing is to pay your fines. Try to work on what the issue was at the beginning, so you can get that license back. Because if you need it for work, you're going to need it. But don't take that chance, because if you get pulled over, especially by the Nevada State Police Highway Patrol, you're going to lose your vehicle for driving on suspension. So
and if then someone is arrested and they are deemed, by the court that they need some form of a supervision, which again, maybe not for the first time, but multiple times or things like this, that's when the parole and probation steps in, and there might be specifications that a person has to do according to the court, right?
Right, and if they have multiple infractions, it kind of just escalates their, conviction. So they could potentially be on supervision, just adds another thing to the already payments that they're making on the tickets that they've received over a certain period of time. Now they're on supervision, which they also have to pay a supervision fee, and then any fines that they have regarding their license or driving infractions too. So it's a lot of steps that you can take by, avoiding one suspended license, getting that taken care of, and then now you're on this path of just an egregious path of dealing with stuff.
Mm-hmm. The one thing that you got to also understand is especially with DUI driving, we talked about infractions, right? Like there's some smaller type of thing, like maybe you're 10, 15 miles over the speed limit. That's an infraction type of a thing. But when it's in connection with a DUI, they become misdemeanors. So it can change the severity of it because you're doing a driving impaired.
Okay, so
it's up in the offense.
Right. So if if you combine multiple offenses, right, then I want people to understand that there are definitive ramifications for doing things, and so I never took into account until we were talking before about somebody driving on a suspended license. I watch my show all the time with the police, on the weekends and stuff, and every once in a while it'll be somebody on a revoked license or something, but I never really thought about it until we talked earlier, and then thinking about the fact that if somebody is found in violation of these infractions, all of a sudden they're on this path to Officer McClarty, which the whole purpose of the parole and probation is to get past the choices that were made that end someone in a bad situation to get them going on the positivity.
And I would say to get to, our friends at parole and probation, you have to do some pretty serious stuff typically to get there, right?
Yeah.
That's like your DUI driving, or maybe getting involved in a crash and you flee or something to that effect, and substantial bodily harm crash or something, and you go to prison for a while due to that. Then you'll fall under those types of supervisions.
Absolutely.
And let's talk about hit and runs. I know we talked since you got back, and you said I'm gonna ask Lieutenant White to come on so we can definitively talk about more of the hit and runs. They said he was here last week. Where were you? We were hanging out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I did a little R&R for a couple of weeks.
Right, I understand, but we were missing you, and,
Yeah.
and so we were hanging out, and so let's talk about the fact of the hit and runs.
I have somebody that watches your show that's a retired trooper, Joe and Marlene Soleil. They're
Well, let's say hi.
they're
Hi,
friends on
how's
there.
it going? Great to see you.
And their daughter got in a hit and run recently, and then the daughter ended up calling her father and saying, "Hey, what do I do?" And he suggested, because they watched your show, that maybe we should tell some of the victims of hit and runs what to do. And I thought, well, that's great, because maybe a lot of people, they get hit, they don't know what to do, and we don't want them to get in further trouble or whatever. But one of the main things I wanted to talk about too is, if you are a victim of a hit and run, don't become part of the problem. And the way I say that is if they're driving recklessly and trying to get away from you, don't be chasing them and being a reckless driver yourself, because if you cause a crash, it's going to come back on you for that crash, even though you were involved in a crash. One of the highlights that we want people to do is, of course, you're going to call that 911. We also have Star NHP that goes directly into our NHP dispatch. And our dispatch will contact a trooper, hopefully in the area there. And then if you can give updates, your location is number one. We need to know if you're southbound on US 95 approaching Jones or whatever. Just try to give us the information where you're at the time when you got struck. And if you can see this vehicle and travel safely and abide by the speed limit and rules of the road, follow them as far as you can until you lose sight or whatever. But make sure that you get us the vehicle's color. And the best thing, if you can get a license plate. That really hamps up, because a lot of our investigators can get that license plate information. We can start doing investigations after that. But I just didn't want people becoming part of the problem, because some people, it becomes like a road rage thing. They struck me and I'm going to chase them down to the ends of the earth. We don't want that happening out there. And I'm telling the public that now, because that can lead into bigger problems, and we don't want that. But always give your location, call that 911 Star NHP. Keep on the phone with that dispatcher. We'll get a trooper until we can try to get them stopped. And like I said, if you're driving down that road and you can do it safely and by the speed limit, and you can keep your eyes on where this vehicle is, we'll do everything possible to try to get that vehicle stopped and get that information. Sometimes our troopers get tied up with a lot of crashes around the valley. So sometimes if it might be within a half an hour, and you got to get to work or something, you can also come into our office, which is at 4615 West Sunset, our NHP headquarters command, and we can do an office report on the hit and run. And what we'll do is we'll take photos and we'll get all the information, have you fill out a witness statement and all that. So there is other avenues, but in the valley we've been getting a lot of hit and runs, and it's something that's been going on for quite a while. But we want the public to at least know what to do when this happens for them.
Miss Stevenson from the front office, when she came on, it was one of the best episodes, because everybody didn't know what to do when it came to being involved in a crash. And, I don't know how I would feel, but I have to imagine that if someone did hit and run towards me, I would have my adrenaline going, and I would want to chase after that person and say, you need to, pull over right now, not realizing that person could have a firearm, could be under the influence, like all the things that we actually learned from the trooper talk that I had no idea, that I would have just been that regular average person who wouldn't understand.
And that's a common reaction. I mean, what if you have a nice car, like a luxury car? I'd be very upset. And I'm not saying, people aren't going to be upset with any type of car. I'm just saying people's adrenaline is, they just struck me. I'm going to get to them and get them stopped.
Yes.
But one of the good points that you just brought up, and I didn't bring that up too, what if that person is armed? What are you going to do? Because most people aren't traveling with firearms that are around the city. You know what I mean? And now you're putting your life in danger. But the main reason that we don't want you following these, if you can do it safely from a distance,
right?
We don't want you causing another crash, because sometimes we're not thinking. We get that tunnel vision,
of course,
and they don't see all around them, and then they start making stupid turns and everything. You could cause a 3 or 4 car crash, and guess who's going to be at fault? Even though you got hit, you just caused that crash, and now you're liable for it. You understand what I'm saying? So
I do, yeah. and that brings up to the traffic end of things, because here's where I'm going with this, right? If the person hits and run, and I am chasing after that person, and now I cause a crash on my end, those troopers are going to the crash where there's multiple things versus a person who just did a hit and run. because there's only so many resources.
And unfortunately, you're going to get cited for the crash.
That's
if you
what I'm
cause it.
saying. And
I
so-
mean,
and-
it's
and
a bad
so
situation.
it's a
Yeah.
completely bad situation. Okay, talk to us about that end of things when it comes to the hit and runs, and just like Trooper Hagstrom was saying.
So similar to like traffic violations when we were talking about the tickets, right? There's different severities of a hit and run. So let's say you do a hit and run, and let's say you hit a parked car that's on the side of the road, and you hit a parked car. What's your responsibilities? Well, your responsibility is to leave a note. If it's at a property, like let's say it's at your business, right? You're supposed to go into the business and see if there's somebody that has it and exchange the information, right? That's just if you were to hit a regular type of a vehicle that was parked. Then there's the stuff that if you are involved in a crash, let's say right out here on the road, and you hit somebody, you're required to pull over and stop and just make sure that they're okay and exchange information. If you were to leave, let's say there's no injuries, let's say it's just property, and you were to leave without providing that type of information, that's a misdemeanor. Obviously, it's again we go back to it's an arrestable offense. There's a fine attached to it. Those types of things. Judge could put you in jail if they chose to, right? Give you community service, whatever they chose to do on that type of a thing. And then you get to your more serious crimes, which are your substantial bodily harm or death cases, right? And that's where a lot of our MERT investigators, that's what they deal with, a lot of those types of things. Our regular troops that are on the road, or traffic troopers that are on a daily basis, they get a lot of injury ones, and those are felonies. It's a Class B felony. You can serve up to 2 years to 20 years in prison and a $2,000 to $5,000 fine if for a hit and run substantial bodily harm case. Well, what is a substantial bodily harm? What does that mean? It can be anything from broken arm, broken leg, long-term pain, stitches. Let's say you got a cut across your face, right? That's a substantial bodily harm thing. Organ inside that's now going to have a problem because of the crash. These are all types of things that because you didn't stay on scene, you have a chance to go to prison. On these death cases that we've had recently, Trooper Hagstrom stated that we're doing very well in our investigations. We are doing very well. With the help of the public in some of the cases, and some of them is just so good old-fashioned police work, we're able to find these individuals and hold them accountable. And
felonies, when it comes to being on parole and probation, this is not fun times. This is, a very, very big problem that most people don't have in their life. I don't know how many people have felonies in the world, but there has to be a small number. And so when it comes to having a felony on the record, as you've stated, there are certain things that you can and can't do. And so you can love the Nevada State Police, but if you're a felon, you're not being being able to be a police officer. Mm-hmm. And so there are certain things that you can and can't do in your life, and there's no reason to do that. We just have to make the right choice when we're driving, and if there's a problem, we need people to stop, right?
Right, and even gross misdemeanors in some cases, you wouldn't be able to be an officer too. Mm-hmm. I think it kind of depends on like a case-by-case basis based on the timing of when it happened and when you apply, or how egregious or how what level of that crime is. And it's just like felonies, you could be with us for a number of years, whether you're on parole, because sometimes we have lifetime parole where you're there for the entirety of your life, or if you don't go to prison, in lieu of that, you're going to be on probation 2 to 5 years. You're going to be essentially with an officer for that for that period of time. You're going to have to maybe do counseling, AA if you're alcohol related crimes, DUI, things like that, or drug related now because we have marijuana DUIs too. So you're going to have all these steps you have to complete to even get off of it. And then you still have that on your record too. So if you're trying to find a job, in say like government work or even like city things like that that have requirements for you to essentially not have. Most jobs have requirements for you to have, but this is something that you can't have in those jobs. You're never going to be able to apply for those jobs.
And you can't apply for something that a person might love or whatever because you made a choice that was so, I don't want to say simple to fix, but you know, there are times when you see the accident or crashes, right? And it says specifically in the news article, you know, person stayed on scene. You know what I mean? Like, look, there was an accident, a crash. Sorry, there was a crash. Someone lost their life, but it specifically says truck driver stayed on scene or whatever. And I think that by pointing that out, it's very important because we need people to know that when they have any type of crash, that they need to follow these simple steps.
And stand by this on the scene. At worst case scenario, you're probably going to get a citation. Why do people run from hit and runs? You know, there's various reasons. You know, they could be impaired. They could have warrants. They could have no driver's license or suspended driver's license that we talked about. But if you got to think, if you just have a suspended driver's license or let's say regular driver's license that you never obtained through your life or whatever, the worst that's going to happen is a citation, unless you get in a substantial bodily injury, and then it's going to change things up. But when you stay on the scene, you got to think, you got to go before a court. And if you do the hit and run, what do you think the judge or a jury is going to do if you don't provide aid to a person that's injured and you leave them there and they possibly it's either death or they possibly have major injuries and you just left? How's that going to look for a judge and jury down the road? So there's a lot of different possibilities that go out there, why people run and why they do things, but we're always telling people stay on scene. It's just going to make it much worse for you leaving the scene of that crash.
But they have to stay on the scene. Call Star NHP, call 911. Get somebody there so that they're you know what I mean, for the protection of everyone. You know what I'm saying? And again, you know, I would rather wait for however long I had to for a trooper or to come there and make sure that everything is done so that the person doesn't say that I did hit and run and I drove off. You know, I mean, and I don't know how, if that happens, but I'm just saying that, like, that would be, you know, especially if something happened on a bodily harm by, you know, you know, I mean, that's what happens.
Well, you're looking at additional felonies if you leave. You know what I mean? If staying on scene, you know, depending on the scene itself, you might not be getting a felony. You might just get a ticket, misdemeanor ticket. But then by leaving the scene and leaving somebody, now you're looking at felony charges or things getting ramped up because you leave. Because every time, I always tell people, if you're involved in you caused a hit and run, you're going to get several other citations that go on top of it, and it's like getting a DUI. And that's how I've always told people. It's like getting a DUI if you hit and run, because you're going to get a citation for leaving the scene and also not providing information which is required. You know, a police report. There's going to be 3 to 5 citations that are going to be in addition to your accident. I mean, the crash involving causation of it. So always make sure that you stay at the scene, because once you start leaving and all this stuff, now you're going to have all these other charges on you as far as tickets and everything else. And it's like getting a DUI when you start adding up all the money for these tickets too.
Yeah, you're dead in the water.
Yeah.
I want to just talk about one more thing. We'll get to some pictures. Officer McClarty got a very big smile before we went on air.
Oh, okay.
But right, and that's because you told him, you said, "Oh, I just want to tell you, I had nothing to do at work or nothing at all to do." And I'm making a joke there,
Okay.
because you every time I talk to you, you're busy doing 16 things. You're like, "Oh, I just want to tell you, I found somebody for you for recruiting and all this."
Yeah.
So tell us about that, and so that way I can get a recruiting report from Officer McClarty.
Yeah, McCarty, tell him.
Yeah.
Oh, he
Well,
asked
your
you
report.
first.
No, I have actually. To be honest with you, I think we brought up about one of our guys.
Uh-huh.
He's a bug guy for my house in our neighborhood or whatever, and always
Oh,
wanted to be.
right.
Always wanted
okay,
to
right.
be a state trooper, and he thought because of the age thing
Right,
and everything.
okay, right. We did
Remember
talk
that?
about that, right.
And then I just got another guy, pretty buff guy. I mean, he looks like a bodybuilder or whatever, and he owns his own business, like a car business and everything. And he didn't know that he could not get in, because of business-wise and all this other stuff, and age. Age, a lot of people think age is a problem, but we don't have an age limit. As long as you can pass the test and do everything else, we'll hire you. But he looked into it, and I asked him, hey, give him the forward information to McCarty, our super recruiter here, and he
Yeah.
can take care of you.
Yeah.
So I've been getting these off and on, a few of these, trying to help out a little bit. But he's been doing a great job. I mean, I can't take it away from him. He's everywhere trying to recruit. So.
But you bring up two good points, and then I'm going to get to you, Officer McClarty.
Yeah.
I almost said McClarty, not Officer McClarty. You bring up two good points. Okay, this is a bug guy or whatever that has nothing to do with this line of work, but maybe has a passion for it, right? Here's another person who, isn't involved in this end of things, but
He's a
might
businessman.
find passion, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it doesn't matter as long as the person is a good person, right? They have to be a great fit for the Nevada State Police. They have to do the written test. They have to do the training test. They have to pass the background investigations and all this stuff. But you're looking for more people, right?
Right, and my recruiting ability is okay, right? I'm able to speak to people, but when I have partners and the passion that we have with all of our troopers and officers and their ability to speak to people too is huge, because it's more than just me explaining the job, right? Like if they're able to say, I love it here, I'm able to speak to the job that I do, it's huge. So him being able to meet people, and I've talked to people at McDonald's, and the kid, there's a young gentleman or a young girl or something that is having a job, they're working hard, they have great customer service. Why not talk to them? I'm getting Happy Meals for my kids, and then I'm trying to recruit.
Yeah.
You gotta love that.
Yeah, and I try to have my oldest son try to recruit him too.
Yeah.
I try to give, have him to give like a sales pitch or something. But
I mean, he was in the hotel business, and look
Yeah.
at what his passion is now, and he
Yeah.
loves it. You love
Right.
your
Yeah.
job, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we do the things that we do. So if you ever thought about being a trooper, go to NevadaStatePolice.com, and also. We're hiring dispatchers. I mean, we got a lot of civilian jobs out there, so go to there, and we can also get into the civilian world too. If you don't want to be a cop and you want to be associated with law enforcement, we're constantly hiring dispatchers for NHP right now. So look into it. You can sit down with them and see what they do for work, and you can do it right along with us, right along with parole and probation, and kind of see if this is a job for me, So we're always open to help everybody out and try to make it a new career for everybody.
And the cool thing is, like, we want you to find a spot that best fits your personality and your, I guess, lifestyle. We're not going to just put you in somewhere and then hope you
It's got to be, you got to have that passion. You got to be that certain person that you want to do and help your community and enjoy the things that we actually do. I mean, I'll be honest with you. When I was out on the road, I loved making traffic stops. I'm sorry, that was just me. But you know what? With the respect I had and everything, people, they're never happy when you get a ticket. But we had great conversations and everything, and they weren't mad, and I might cite them 5 over the speed limit just to, it's all about a lesson, right?
Of course.
We're not trying to make it hard on anybody or anything like that, and they appreciate that. And you get to meet so many different people, and I enjoyed it. So,
And I
absolutely.
come to the fact that the leadership at the top, because I see you over there when we're talking, and you're smiling, because you feel that same passion, and you feel that same love, and the love between you and them. It's just, you can see that, and you can see that on the camera, and so it's very, very cool, because in most agencies, people of the would you call them upper echelon of rank, generally speaking, don't they don't know each other, or they're not as friendly with each other because they're of different ranks. And so that's something that the Nevada State Police is one of the things that I love.
Well, and it's like, and we're all
is that
like
I see it.
family.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's the
I'm
most
able
wonderful.
to talk to my lieutenant, and if I have any questions or anything, he'll break away and he'll help me in any way. And all of our supervisors have been like that. And that's why we try to promote this to people out there, because you get certain rank structures in different departments and everything. It's totally different. But here, we're more like a family because we're a little bit smaller entity of an agency, but we all work together for the good. And if we have an issue or we have something that we need to get done, all we have to do is ask our supervisors. They're there for us to help us out. They don't want us to fail. I mean, we all want to do what's right, and we want to be at the top of our game. So that's why we all have tremendous leaders out there that push us forward, so we can do the job that we do today.
Yeah,
So,
it was really
yeah.
cool when you said to me, you know, I asked Lieutenant White to come on, and I was like, oh, that's great. You know what I mean? Like, it's the camaraderie between you, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. All right, we got some pictures now. You ready?
Now, I was kind of scared when you were starting to bring up McCarty. I thought he had something under his sleeve. Like,
I
you
just
guys.
He does. Don't
Oh,
worry.
my
You know what I'm saying?
gosh.
we haven't figured that out yet, but I'm sure. He has
Okay,
something,
I'm
you know what
sure. I'm
saying?
sure.
All right, so we'll fix the link up at the top. But you came in third last year. Okay, this year you got a brand new car,
I did. Yes.
the Mustang.
5.0.
You let me look inside this morning, and that thing is amazing.
It is
Okay.
an amazing car.
And so we need everybody to go there so that the Nevada State Police wins this year and gets first place.
Well, let me tell you the importance about this. You know,
Tell me.
Nevada State Police actually started in 1908 is when we first had our Nevada State Police. But in 1949, our legislature switched us to Nevada Highway Patrol. This year is our 75th anniversary of being the Highway Patrol. So this is why it's so important that we have the public out there to back us here in Nevada. And we're going out throughout the valley saying, hey, go to this website up here, vote for our car to win, because it represents Nevada and shows who we are. And this is the photo that we submitted for it. And this is one of our older Mustangs from, I think, what's that, early 90s, like 91 or something. It's an older Mustang with the brand new Mustang that we have. And right there you can see our 75th anniversary. So we're just asking the public, hey, come out and vote for us. It's showing that we want to put Nevada on top. So we want your vote.
We want your vote.
Absolutely.
And I remember my mother, a friend of ours passed away and left my mom a car, and that's the LX, and they had the GT version, and the GT 5.0 was actually slower because it had all those ground effects, and that was the fast one because it didn't have it had the engine, but it didn't have the ground effects. And so I think it's absolutely wonderful, and we need to do everything that we possibly can to vote and to win and get Nevada State Police on top for the 75th anniversary.
Absolutely. So go to that website, everybody, and put Nevada on top. That's all we ask.
And the car has no light bar. And so just like we talked about last week, it's going to be very soon that these people are going to blow past him at 125 miles an hour in their electric car. We won't mention any names. And, at the end of the day, you might be able to get beyond the speed of a car, but you can't get beyond the speed of the radio. And so that's why it's so important that people need to make a phone call if they see anything on the roadways, right? Star NHP, have them call, because you don't want to be investigating hit and runs.
No.
You know what I mean? And so that's important. Go.
So, like you said, Neil, make that phone call, right? If you're a person that was not involved in the crash, but you saw the crash, make that phone call. If you saw the crash, the car's pulling away, and you happen to be there and you can see the license plate, make that phone call, right? Help us out. Without the public, a lot of times we're in the dark on some of these things. It takes extra work which we're not shying away from the work, please. We're here to work and do that, but it can help solve these crimes a little bit quicker, and hold people accountable for these types of things. Another little thing that people can do, a lot of cars have cameras built into them now, but buying a little dash cam or things like that can protect you. It doesn't have to be the most expensive and flashiest system on the planet, right? I bought one like for $89, I think, and put it up in the window of one of my vehicles, and it captures everything, right? That happens. These are little things that people can do to protect themselves, to help them along the way.
The general public, we need, because when it comes to the hidden runs and when it comes to activities, they are what is one of the things that really helps. People that own businesses, right, that see the news, or that just want to do their part. It's very important for the general public, because a lot of the things that happen would not only make it more difficult, but maybe they wouldn't be solved because somebody is not following through with trying to just help, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, that happens, right? But we have a lot of citizens. When we were coming in, unfortunately, there's a crash on the Northern Beltway right now involving a motorcycle and a pickup truck. And a semi-truck happened to have a camera. A lot of the semi-trucks have cameras in them now because protection, insurance, and those types of things. They're on the road a lot, and they see a lot of things. And he happened to pull over, and he flagged down a trooper and said, "I have video of the whole thing," right? So it makes it very simple on the investigation side when those things happen. So if you capture something and you want to give us some information, just call us up, let us know, basic area, kind of time of day, and send us the information. It totally helps us. Yeah. It's very, very helpful.
And it's a community effort. So
yeah, 100%.
So I always say, hey, if you see something, say something. We've always used that term. And being a PIO, I get a lot of these camera footages from people that have them in their cars, and I'm able to forward them to our investigators. So I've some of our fatals, unfortunately, I've got a few videos from people that actually seen the crash happen or whatever, and they send it to me, and I'm able to forward to the investigators. And like you said, that tremendously helps our investigators. Then we know exactly how it occurred prior to the crash.
Yeah, it's very, very important, Officer McClarty, talk to us about so it's now the middle of July. So we do we have recruiting this weekend?
What's the 27th? So
27th.
Yeah, I had to figure out what day today was.
I was trying to give you a trick question. You know what I mean? Make sure you're paying attention, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So the 27th we have testing, and then August we have the 10th and the 24th.
And so we just missed one, right? Because we had 2 this month.
Yeah, we did. So we had the 13th.
13th, okay. And so the 27th, now what I want people to know is that if they can't make it or they need a little bit of extra help, right? Last time you were here, you talked to us about the fact that somebody that needed the training, they couldn't make it on one thing, but they already passed the written, but they needed to do the other. You make yourself available.
Yeah, I actually had 2 this week.
Okay.
So yesterday we had a candidate, essentially for an internship candidate, right? So it's called SkillBridge. It's an opportunity for military that are, transitioning out and want to come back to, the civilian status. It's an internship for them to where they can work 180 days prior to them actually getting out and do an internship for a potential company that they want to work for. So what he's doing, he did just to start the main background process. So when he's out, he's already kind of through everything, and it'll be quicker hire for us and for him. So it'll be easier transition for him when he gets out. So yesterday we did the written test and the fitness test yesterday, just for him.
So wow, that's cool. So explain that. So prior to getting out of the military, you're allowed to work.
Correct.
Right? Is that what you- like?
So when I was in from 2005 to 2009. I won't tell you the years he was in. I really don't know, but I know they were a long time ago.
35 years ago. 35 years ago. That's okay. We're both Marines. So yeah.
So when we were in, and there was only really what we call TAP class, right? It's a transition assistance program. They tell you, kind of show you limited access of how to do resumes, and really that's all I remember. But now what they have is a SkillBridge internship, right? So there's certain agencies and certain companies, mainly in Nevada, or I'm pretty sure only in Nevada, we're one of the only ones. I'm pretty sure we're the only one actually that has SkillBridge as a law enforcement agency.
That's amazing.
I'm not sure about the other states, but I'm sure there's somebody out there that has it. There's other companies like big warehouses, like the airports, things like that. They have programs too. But say you're getting out, you do a 4-year term, you can get out essentially 180 days prior to your regular exit date.
So you
up to that time.
right? So you know you're leaving
Yep.
in 180
Yep.
days, and so the military allows you the opportunity to do that. Yeah. No.
And we don't pay them. The DoD still pays them, so they're still on the
Government.
the payroll, government
Okay.
payroll.
Uh-huh.
So they're still getting paid while they're doing the internship. They're just not doing their MOS anymore, and now they're potentially getting valid work history and experience to be able to get another career afterwards.
And then so then they get out of the military, and then they've now passed all of the requirements for the Nevada State Police, right? So then they can, not to say immediately, but they would then be able to get into the next
Yeah, they've
class,
essentially taken
right?
that 3 to 6 months process of going through the hiring, so the fitness test, written, polygraph backgrounds, the medical stuff. They've already got that out of the way. Now they don't have to wait essentially another 6 months to get through all that stuff after they've already gotten out. So
And
now
they've
they've already
gotten
lined up. Yeah, and they've gotten paid.
And,
Right.
and
Yeah.
you said that they may have to wait to get to an academy. That's true. However, we are hiring people before academy in a pre-cadet status. They can help in the office, in the garage. Multiple different assignments. So it's not like if you're selected, right, and we'll give you a job offer. When I went through, you had to wait, 6, 7, 8, 10 months, whatever, for the next academy to start. That's not the case anymore. We're hiring you immediately and putting you to work if you're eligible.
And right now we have 5 pre-cadets at NHP currently, and then another 4 to 5 at parole and probation. So we essentially have 10 already waiting for the next academy, but they're pre-hired. So right now they're getting valuable experience prior to the academy, which is already going to set them ahead of the other, where they would be if they didn't have that experience. They're meeting the people that they're going to work with. They're already working on their camaraderie. They're working on who they want to be as an officer or a trooper. So it's valuable experience that they get, ride-alongs. They're helping out the current academy that's going through scenarios right now. So they're getting an inside look and, getting ahead of the game.
Yeah, it's fantastic. You know what I mean? Like, again, the Nevada State Police is trying to set people up for the future.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, and so they want good people, and so that's fantastic. You know what I mean? And again, one more thing. Like, I was talking with someone who their son was going to become a firefighter, and I said, well, listen, they can, his son just turned 18. I said, he can go to Nevada State Police. They can become a dispatcher. They can do these things. They can try. To get the ball rolling, like you said, on the fact of meeting, the people that they're going to be working with, and so I think it's wonderful.
And they're getting paid.
Yeah.
And they're getting paid. You touched on it earlier, the fact that you retired and you came back, and I said, what are we going to do? Retire again? Here's the thing. Not to mention your age, but you're not 20 years old. Okay? And so the Nevada State Police is allowing you to live out your dreams. Okay? You retired, they allowed you the opportunity to come back because it was in your blood and it was in your passion, it's what you wanted to do. Then they put you into this position of the PIO, and you've grown into that position where you weren't in that when you first came here with the major, and I told you were sitting like this, and I thought you just wanted to jump out and strangle me.
I don't know about that, but yeah.
Okay, well, don't put that. But what I'm saying is this.
Yeah.
You've grown into this PIO position where it's been fantastic. And so the reason that I think this is fantastic is because it shows people that it doesn't matter the age that you are, you can still be on the top of your game.
Absolutely.
And
So, it
so-
goes for NSP too.
Right.
I mean, you could be at any age, and if you love what you do and you
That's
want
right.
to go out and do it, go do it. I mean, me and my wife, we were able to go and visit castles and forts and all this crazy, even a sailboat ride on the Mediterranean to a private vineyard, and you know what I mean? And it's
Yes.
something amazing that this was my bucket list.
And
So this is a bucket list.
and-
You know what I mean? I always wanted to do that, and I did
Nevada
it. You know what I mean?
State Police
Yeah.
allowed you to do that because you work for a tremendous agency.
Mhm.
You asked for time off. They gave you the time off, even though in your position, let's face it, you're dealing with fatals, you're dealing with all the media, you're dealing with all these different various things that everybody stepped up to the plate and covered for you while you were gone so that you could go do this.
Yeah, and it was great. I
and-
mean, they handled it and everything, and I'm like,
that's
wow,
what I want
that's
people
awesome.
to know.
Yeah,
Does
absolutely.
does that make sense? Because
Absolutely.
that's what it's like working for a tremendous agency.
Mhm.
Because your brothers and your sisters have your back if you're willing to do this. So I thought it was fantastic. I was super proud of you.
Thank you.
I know that it wouldn't make a difference.
Well, my
what-
wife, I'll tell you what, my wife didn't even eat the night before. And I go, what's wrong? And she was so sick to her stomach because she thought I was going to get killed. You know what I mean? And then on top of it, I go, I wanted to tell her afterwards, but I guess she already read about it. And because it is the most dangerous stretch where I was at, because where most people run with the bulls and you'll see thousands of people, they have the opportunity to go to the sides or go underneath the fence, right? This is all concrete, giant walls, like 15, 20 stories. I mean, I'm not 20 stories, like 3 or 4 stories up, all the way down at the very beginning. So if you get a rogue bull, or the reason I did it, the most dangerous part, is I could see the bulls coming up towards me. So I could kind of adjust. I had a couple people in front of me, like I was third row, and I was watching them where they were starting to run. So they started going to the left, all right?
Right.
But when they start getting closer, everybody starts running. So you start running, you know what I mean? You start going and you start looking back, and we have to cut this corner. There's a corner to come around. But when I'm cutting the corner, guess what the bulls do? They go from the right all the way to the left. So now they're already over there, but then you get people standing in your way. You can see people standing there or sitting, or some people are falling.
I was gonna say or laying.
Yeah, they're falling. Yeah. Well, these people got knocked out because it's not the bulls. The bulls are very dangerous. They're 1-ton animals going, but what makes it very dangerous is the amount of people, because people will trip up people and people will fall over, and then they get nailed by the bulls. And they always say if you fall down, stay down, because the minute you get up, because of the movement, the bull will take you out. You know what I mean? So you just stay down the whole time. So yeah, I was having to fight to get past people because they're standing in my way. I had to move up on a sidewalk, which was kind of like a trip hazard, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But yeah, these bulls move so fast. I got a video I'll have to show you. It's like they're moving like 25 miles an hour. I mean, at the end of the video, you could see me running full sprint, and I can't even catch them because they're flying. So yeah, but what an experience. I mean, it's quite the experience.
Officer McClarty, you running with the bulls? You would do that? Or
I would do it.
You would?
I would do it for sure.
Well, let's
I
set
would
up
do
a
it.
time, because I
would-
want to do it again.
I would do it just because I know he did it, and then
Yeah.
if he could do it, I could do it.
And those are my bulls I ran with, the 6. They're in the paper the day before. They show which bulls
That's
you
cool.
run against. Yeah. They send 6 white oxen with bells. So those 6 big white oxen are the ones that are supposed to lead the bulls away, you know what I mean, along the path. So, and they're big too. When I was running, I was looking right in the eye, and I could tell the cow was nervous, like because
was
you get
nervous
nervous
of
too.
you.
No, well, he's nervous of me, all the people, they're nervous. I could see it in his eyes, but he could probably see that I was nervous too, looking at him as they're coming right by me. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
but obviously, I was not nervous all the way up till the thing. I don't know if I was stupid or what. I felt calm. I felt good about it. But when you start having them come towards you and everybody starts running, then you start getting that,
Now, what
that
what,
adrenaline.
what type of shoe do you make sure your
I
shoelaces?
just had
are,
tennis shoes.
Right, but do you make sure they're like triple knotted?
No,
so that
I
they,
just,
like,
I
they-
just
they
tied a
don't-
regular knots. Yeah,
regular.
just regular knot.
Okay.
You hope that you don't trip or whatever. And down in the city too, they have these big statues of all the bulls with people falling or whatever. That I went and got a picture.
I
and
love
that's,
your
this is
outfit.
the bullpen where they're at when they get released, and then that's the doors where they come out before. But yeah, it was exciting. You could see me looking back. It starts here and then coming back, and then luckily that bull didn't push that other bull off into
Yeah, he
me
was
because
right
I'm
there.
like I was right there, so nowhere to go.
Lieutenant White, you running with the Bulls?
I'm going to go with no.
No.
I don't run for fun.
Yeah.
And you add bulls to it, I don't think that's a good
Yeah,
time.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I would just be freaking out because I would be afraid that I would trip over my shoelace or.
Well, you got to worry about the other people tripping you.
Oh,
I mean, it's just,
man.
and luckily at the front part, because it's so dangerous, you don't have as many people as when they go down the streets where they have thousands. I mean, it's like a community of 200,000, and there's 200,000 people in the streets. And I mean, these are narrow streets where the actual bulls go through. I mean, you don't have a lot of room. You're
I've
right
watched
there
it on
in
TV
there.
a bunch of times,
Yeah.
which is pretty interesting. I'd like to see it. I wouldn't want to be a part of it.
Yeah, my wife was what made her really nervous is a guy
Where does
from.
she? Now, where's she? I mean,
She's up on a top thing,
she-
but
she-
she went 3 or 4 hours early.
Right.
And she
okay,
was
that's
still three rows back because they come really early. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But yeah, one of the things that I forget what I was going to tell you about that made her even more nervous. Gosh, I can't think. I'll come back to it.
So your wife is there,
Mhm.
and she's with a camera,
Yeah.
right? And she's like, "Okay, I'm waiting for my husband."
Oh yeah.
And all of a sudden, do you like where she is? You're like, okay, I'm in the spot, or she's.
Oh no, I'm around the corner. She can't even see
she
me.
can't even see you.
Yeah.
Right.
She sees me coming running around when the bulls are coming. So
So she's videoing.
yeah, she's trying to
right?
video it. Yeah.
And all of a sudden she goes, "Oh, there's my husband," and
Mm.
he's running, and just so that, like, you look a bull in the eye. Like I don't know. Like I look my dog in the eye, and my dog wants to bite me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I can only imagine this huge monster. Like
Yeah, and they're fast. I'll tell you that. I didn't know they were. I knew they were going to be fast, but I didn't know they were that fast. I mean, it was incredible. So, what an experience. Yeah, it kind of shook her up a little bit. but
Yeah.
yeah.
And so this outfit that you wear, this is something that you buy when
Yeah.
you're there, or
well, the story behind San Fermin is he was a patron saint, and they're very Catholic in Spain. I'm sure it's like 98%. Every other block has a Catholic cathedral. It's huge. And they made him a patron saint because when foreigners came in to take over the city of Pamplona, they wanted him to renounce Christianity, and he would not renounce it. So what they did is they tied him to a bull, and they strung him up to a bull and drug him through the town until he was deceased. So in order to, since they made him in like a saint, they celebrate this a week long in Pamplona for this saint, because he would not give up Christianity. He died believing in what he believed in. So,
really
and that's the
amazing.
reason they're doing it. Yeah. So.
It's an amazing thing. Lieutenant White, we said we were going to have the pictures here, right?
Yep.
Right.
You made it happen.
We talked last week, and I said, yeah, we're going to have the pictures. Don't worry. You know what I'm saying?
I sent McClarty some photos that show him a little bit. Yeah.
I wanted to see because I think that it's so amazing, and I'm just literally, first of all, I'm so proud that you're here. Okay,
Thank
because
you.
I must tell you that I was very worried.
Unscathed.
Yeah, unscathed.
It was a bucket list. We
Right.
got to put it that way. I did get scraped a little bit. I do have like a scrape. I'm still unscathed, but coming around the corner of a wall,
hit
I
the
scrubbed
building?
it. Yeah, because they were starting to come over close fast, and I was like hightailing it up. You know what I mean? And the main thing that will probably get you in trouble is like looking back where the bulls are. You don't know if people are there, or you almost gotta push out of the way to get out of the way.
And so literally, so one more thing I want to get to. So
Yeah.
you were in a full sprint at the end,
Yes.
like literally.
I couldn't even catch up to them. They were that fast. It was unbelievable.
Well,
They
We're-
come fast and deadly.
We're glad that you're here.
Oh, and I remember
Yeah,
what I was going
okay.
to tell
Oh,
you.
yeah,
What
tell me,
made my
tell me.
wife most nervous the
Yes.
day before, a gentleman from Pamplona that lives there probably runs in the race quite a bit, got gored in the head, you know, and then they had 6 serious injuries, and this was just the day before I ran. So that didn't help with my wife, you know, thinking, you're going to do this? And I'm like, yeah, this is what I came to do. So,
Officer McClarty, does that change your mind about doing this now?
no, we're going to get him
Nah.
out there because I'm going to do it again. I'll take him with me. We'll do it. I definitely want to do it. So.
Lieutenant White and I will just be we'll be watching from here as the video.
A lot of
Yeah.
people come and watch anyways.
Right.
They probably want to see people get run over. That's why they come
Yeah.
over, you know. So
Just amazing.
Yeah.
So we're glad that you're here. We missed you.
Thank
we
you.
held down the fort.
appreciate it.
And
And it's good to be back. I mean, I'm glad to be here with the Vegas community and being able to be with my partners to kind of, you know, promote our highway traffic safety and the things to do and not to do and try to make everybody safe here in Las Vegas. So it's a pleasure to be back and hopefully we'll have some great shows coming ahead. you
Yeah.
know, so
And if they see your Mustang, they better pull over.
that's right.
All right. So I was not able to go on Monday.
Mhm.
But Johnny was there, and he said that it was amazing. And so Sergeant Abate and Trooper Felix will not only always be in our hearts, always be in our thoughts. We will always try to live up to their standards.
Great people. Yes.
But the thing is that the Nevada State Police never leaves you alone. And so if something should ever happen and you should pass, you know, the Nevada State Police is always there for you. And so when it comes to this, which we'll show next week of the birthday party,
Mhm.
right? It's the same type of idea. And so Nevada is one of the states that loves its officers and does everything it can. And so here we actually have the naming of highways in regard to Trooper Felix and Sergeant Abate, who tragically lost their life, and they should be here now. And so it's one of the reasons that we need to continue to talk about the driving under impairment so that we never have to lose anyone else.
Absolutely, Neil. And you know, I took these photos and I was proud to be with this moment with their family and the widows that were involved here. NDOT is actually the ones that did the signs for us. It wasn't NHP. We don't have the power to make signs and put signs up. So this was something that came through the Nevada Department of Transportation. They thought this was the right thing to do for our troopers because, you know, they gave their lives in the line of duty. And they should be remembered. I mean, this is a great sacrifice that they did for the great state of Nevada, and it shows that even the Nevada Department of Transportation, our governor, our departments, are able to show that these troopers' lives and names will live on. Let me tell you a little bit about this too. Where Sergeant Abate's sign is posted, it's just half a mile from the Speedway. Well, we all know Abate was our EVOC trainer, which is for our emergency vehicle operations course and everything. And he was a race car driver, so that was his passion. And he made race cars, and his whole family was involved. And his sister is a professional race car driver. So, and she does phenomenal job on the courses out there. So they thought it would be a good thing a half a mile before the Speedway that they would put this up in honor for him to be remembered with the racetrack and everything else. For Trooper Felix, he was in the military, retired
Air Force.
Air Force.
20
Yeah, well, he
years.
was at Air Force, but he was 20 years. I was trying to think. He wasn't an officer. He was enlisted, but he spent 20 years in the Air Force. And this was about a half a mile before, was it Craig?
Craig.
Was it Craig? Entrance, and they wanted to put that there because that's the entrance to go to Nellis Air Force Base. for the exit there. So that was to honor him for his great service, not only for the United States Air Force, but for the sacrifices he did as a state trooper for the great state of Nevada. So we thought that was very compelling that they were able to do both of that and get that done for the families. And the families, we know, they're very appreciative. I mean, it's an amazing thing, amazing tribute for both of them that gave the greatest sacrifice that you can do for here in the state of Nevada.
And so, Lieutenant White, we never want anyone to experience anything like this, and we can do all these wonderful things, but it will never, ever replace a father and a husband and somebody that's there every moment of every day, which we heard so many wonderful stories of how wonderful fathers they both were. And so we never get back from that. And so it's really important that we need to do everything we can on these roadways to ensure that people are not driving impaired, not driving under the influence, not on prescription medication, not on the marijuana lounges. You know what I mean? Like these type of activities, just please, if you can't find $10 to get home and take an Uber, then, don't drink the beer or something. Because these families will never be the same.
100%, Neil. We ask people to think before, right? Have a plan. Whatever that plan looks like, whether it's a friend, a taxi, a hotel, whatever it is, have a plan before you begin consuming alcohol or recreational marijuana or whatever it is that way, right? Along with that is drive within the laws that are prescribed for each road, right? DOT, mentioning them, they do studies, they know what the roads can and can't do. Please stay in those limits. There's a reason why the road's at 65. There's a reason why the road's at 75. There's a reason why the road, when we get down on our surface streets, are 35. There's some of these roads where you're at 45, and unfortunately we're having some people that are impaired that are losing control of their vehicles and they're crashing into bus stops, right? We've had more than our unfair share recently in the last year that are being killed. People just waiting to get someplace to do their life, and they're using public transportation, and unfortunately they've been killed because someone's driving impaired behind an automobile. That happens a lot.
Yeah, and we need to do everything we can, and so not specifically this case, we won't talk about this case, but in the sense of a generalized theme, if someone is driving and then they have severe bodily harm or death to someone and they go to prison, they are going to end up on some form of probation or parole. Maybe not 100% if they serve their whole time, but most of the time they're going to have some form of supervision after to ensure that they don't do these type of activities more.
Yeah, I mean, potentially they'll be out of prison and be on supervision, and then we're here to deter that behavior further. But we're here now to deter that behavior before it happens, and hopefully our troopers, and mainly our troopers that are pulling people over, are able to have the conversations that Sean has with these people, inspire or change them in some kind of way where now they're like, hey, you know what, I was doing something wrong, I identify that, and then going forward, they don't do it again. So then we avoid tragic incidents like this one.
Yeah, I know for me that I know I definitively, not only I used to drive without my seatbelt on, right? And I used to drive a lot faster. You know what I mean? And now I don't drive very fast. I appreciate it, even more, just being in the car and the whole thing. And just being in a free society where you can actually just drive from anywhere that you want, and you just got to do it in a safe manner. You know what I mean? And so especially you know, the bridge up by where I go to see the lieutenant at his gravesite up
gravesite,
on
yeah.
Jones Road. So Lieutenant White told me a few maybe a month and a half ago or whatever, that, you know, when I was that they fixed the bridge so it doesn't have this huge bump anymore.
Yeah.
Right. So I call that the Lieutenant White Bridge, because every time I drive over it on Sunday, it's smooth. Right.
See how you changed his life a little
And-
bit.
But
Just,
it's the reality that we need to start with one person,
sure.
right? And by changing one person, we're changing two people. And by doing these type of activities, we need to stop people from doing these bad things on the road when they're behind the wheel.
And this is what I like about your show, is we're actually here to help educate the public.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're given the do's and don'ts, and hopefully people will understand our where we're coming from, because we're giving them a little bit more insight than what they would actually think about. You know what I mean? And hopefully it'll make it a safer place around the valley. If we can change one person, and they change other people along the way, we're starting a good chain for our community. But I just wanted to say that a program like this is great, because we're able to talk about what we do and educate the public, and we're part of the community too. So you know, we wanna live here with our families and do what's the right thing, just like everybody else, and enjoy life. So that's one good thing, that we were able to process and give this information out to everybody.
It's really important. You know, I think of Officer McClarty. I think of him driving around with his kids, you know, and his wife and all that stuff, and like, you know, in the personal car, right? And you know, like, he's just a normal citizen. He's a normal guy. He's got a family. You know what I'm saying? That they're just cruising around. And so it's really, really important that we all need to do our part to ensure that everyone remains safe on our roadways.
Absolutely.
Officer McClarty, what I wanted to ask you was a take-home car. I understand that as you guys get a take-home car, besides all these different raises that you got last year and this year, and I mean, the pay is what's the word? Of equal value to other people in the state now, where before it was not, right? So now with these last raises over the past couple years, there's not only real benefits to be with the Nevada State Police, where you could go to the Capitol Police and do all these type of things, but you at least are getting paid of the same value.
Right, we have comparable wages now to the other agencies here in at least Southern Nevada, and from what I know in Northern Nevada too. But what makes us and separates us is we get take-home vehicles. So not only are we now getting pay that, you know, helps out our current lifestyles and what we want to do in our free time, but also our work lifestyle also benefits from that, because we have those take-home vehicles, which we get paid drive time. Our shift starts and ends in our driveway, so we do like a true 10-hour shift, whereas most agencies have to drive to their, you know, base, their station, get changed out, go to a briefing, get their car, and then start their shift. So they're wasting, in a way, essentially 30 to 45 minutes prior to their shift, then doing a 10-hour shift, and then doing the same thing at the end of the shift. So you're wasting another hour and a half potentially of your day, whereas us, we're gaining that hour and a half every day. So that's gaining the hour and a half to spend with your, you know, if you're single, spend it with yourself, you know, with activities that you have going on, or with your family.
Yeah. And when it comes to the take-home vehicle, you know, it's really imperative, because sometimes you have to go in a hurry to get somewhere to do something. And, you know, especially in your position where there are others underneath you and you might need to go and help them, you would have to then leave your residence, drive over here, do all this, and then and so these type of things is one of the benefits, again, for someone in the Nevada State Police, especially someone in a lieutenant rank, because it enables you to get where you need to go to in a faster way.
100% true, Neil. Unfortunately, the night of the event that killed Sergeant Abadi and Trooper Felix, I got a phone call and I had to respond to speak with family that morning, and I was able to do that right from my driveway and go and do with that because I had a vehicle there at the house. There is a big benefit to the public, though, with us having those. Is now when we start our day, we just go right to work in different parts of our community. We're not just coming from one central location, which is the office, right? Where everyone would pick up their car and then have to disperse back up to different parts of town, right? So maybe someone lives in Henderson, or maybe someone lives in the Northwest or Northeast or wherever they live. They go right to work in their community around that area, and then they start working the roadways from there. So it's a tremendous benefit to the public as well as to troopers to have those take-home vehicles.
And I'll add on too,
Yeah.
just being state troopers too, one of the main reasons that we do have these vehicles to take home is we have to be available at all times for natural disasters. Something major that happens within the state or something, we're able to assemble and go from our residence and actively go to get to that location very, very promptly. So this just gives us an extra advantage. Like he says, you don't have to go to the office, you don't have to change cars or look for cars. We're available and we're out the door and going to work. And people that want to come to work for us, that's your own office. You got your car set up the way you want it inside, pretty much. I mean, there's standard things that have to be a certain way, but you set it up the way you want. You're not paying for gas, insurance, or anything else. You got a take-home car to and from, and you're hitting from work. And like you said, it saves you a lot of time, and that's kind of a deterrent having it in front of your residence too a little bit. But the thing is, you're not paying all that extra or having that extra time. So it's a big benefit being a state trooper for that.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to talk about the what you did for the last where you were on vacation, because it's really important that you get to have your time, because we know how stressful the job is, and that one of the benefits of having the camaraderie is that you're able to talk with anybody, and it remains within that secretive area so that you can open up and things like that. And it's really great that you're able to do that. We were very scared. If you and Officer McClarty go, I don't know what we're gonna do. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you. No, it's just a pleasure, and being able to work for such a great department that takes care of their people. So that's one of the added benefits that I get with this job, and love the job. So
yeah,
it pays off dividends there. So
it's great. Officer McClarty, tell us what we're doing for the recruiting. Anything else to add before?
Yeah, so we actually have a state hiring event next week. So what we're doing is getting people to put in their applications. We're going to verify them the day of to set you up for our next testing dates. Same with dispatchers too. They're going to be conducting interviews next week, Tuesday and Wednesday. So we've got some good things coming up.
Where do they go for that?
It's the Mineral Building. I don't have the exact address in my brain right now.
Okay.
But it'll be on our state website, nevadastatepolice.com, and then NV.gov jobs too.
And so that's Tuesday, Wednesday next week.
Tuesday and Wednesday next week. Yep.
Okay, perfect.
And then it's coming in a time too where we lost another one of our hotels. For now,
Yes.
anyways. So the Mirage lost. They closed up shop. I used to work there for 7 years.
Did you get any of the $1 chips?
I actually have a couple $5 chips.
There
But
we
I've
go.
had those.
Right.
Those were old tips that I got that I just never turned in.
Right.
Yeah. But now I'm just gonna keep.
Right, of course.
But a lot of people maybe took severance checks and gonna look for their next career there, or they're gonna stick around and when the Hard Rock opens up, they're gonna go back. But there's a lot of opportunities for them to come over to us and hopefully get a job.
Yeah, we would
Find
love
something
them
new.
to talk to them. We would love for you
at least
to talk
check
to
it
them.
out.
Yeah, I mean it's something to consider too, because when I used to work in marketing, I went from the Mirage, I went to corporate marketing, and unfortunately that unit or that section got furloughed and got let go because of COVID, right? I was fortunate enough, I was already gone, but just to think back, I'm like, wow, that job security, I didn't really have it where I thought I did. But we're not closing up shop. We have job security. We're always going to be here.
it's job security. We're
So
not going nowhere.
it's something you never really think about until it happens, and you're like, wow, this could have changed my life. I would have been, essentially without a job, looking for something new. Like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Here we don't have that problem. We know what we're going to do. You know,
And you do it well.
right?
Except when you need Trooper Hagstrom to help you out with the
Yeah,
road
yeah.
crew, you know what I'm saying? Lieutenant White, thanks again. You know, and you know, for you, you know, we need to stop these people from the hit and runs. You know, and you're the MERT department, fantastic, with the public's help, and you know, and all these type of things. But at the end of the day, we shouldn't have to be doing these things if we take the responsibility that when we get behind the wheel, we follow the simple laws and things of this nature, right?
Yeah, and be patient, right? Like there's going to be traffic, there's going to be construction, there's going to be lots of things that happen. Leave early for work, right? Try to get to work 10 minutes early so that if there is a small delay, that you're not rushing and being impatient, right? There's little things that we can do on a daily basis that set us up for success when traveling to our job or wherever we're going to. And that's what we're asking people to do, is just be patient, be understanding. Please travel safely. Look when you signal, use your signal, those types of things. Stay within the speed limits that are posted. And please look out for our state troopers that are on the side of the road. Please move over. If you see any law enforcement flashing light, if you see a tow truck with flashing ambers, please move over that lane, left or right, to give them the space to operate. They're there for a reason. Be patient when you're maybe stuck in traffic because there is a crash. We're going to try to guide you to the safest and fastest route out of that area as best we can. Pay attention to the signage that's around you. These electronic signs that are up there, they're going to provide you information. Like maybe you shouldn't keep going your normal route. Get off and go a different route to work that day, because it's going to tell you that there's a crash. Like Sunday afternoon, there was a crash at 95 and Cheyenne, and there was lots and lots of cars. There were signs up ahead that said roadway closed ahead for a crash. Right? Choose another alternate route. Please take that into consideration in your day. Check before you go, right? Whether it's the news or your local app, like whether it's X or Facebook or whatever, we try to put out a lot of information. Trooper Hagstrom does an extremely good job of that, letting you know where roadways are closed and when they're going to open on some of these big major events that have roadways closed. But our partners in the news media, along with Trooper Hagstrom, they try to get that information out to folks.
Yeah, I mean, you want to open the road
as fast as we can.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
I
not
promise
like you're
you.
like, oh, we're just going to waste time and just keep the road closed because we have nothing better to do.
I have a boss too that wants to know when the road's going to be open, right?
Yeah.
Because he's got a boss that's going to ask him when's the road going to be open, because the public wants to know when the road's going to be open. So commerce can move. We can move freely, like you were saying earlier, get to where we want to get to and do the things we want to do. And so our goal is to, number one, we have to investigate whatever's going on. The road's closed for certain reasons, and sometimes it's for safety reasons. Whether there's an active event going on the highway, if a state trooper's shutting a road down, it's not just for fun. It's for a purpose that is keeping the public safe. Maybe we're investigating some sort of event that happened, maybe a fatal or something to that event, or maybe there's unfortunately a catastrophic event going on at the time that needs for the public safety for that area to be closed down. Maybe the road's not safe to even drive on. When we have certain events happen, the roadway can get damaged, and maybe it's unsafe for a particular type of vehicle going on the road, motorcycle, something like that.
Yeah, 100%. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
We'll look towards here, and we'll tell everybody we'll see them soon. See you soon.
See you
See you
soon.
soon.